Welcome, everybody, to Meet with Cheese Metaverse Interviews, episode 19. Today, I have a very special guest for you. As usual, I'm your host, La Drop with Cheese, coming to you from the Metaverse. Today, we have one of the founding partners of WeDream. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Peter Calfee. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Joey. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Delighted.
Yes. So I actually got to go to your event out in New York when it was the Soho Technique AR Gallery Crawl. And I still hold on to this token here, which was the ticket.
There we go. I do as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I think this has been good luck for me ever since. So I'm just going to keep holding on to it. So thank you for that. But yeah, so thanks for taking the time. Tell us a little bit about your background. I know you have extensive business background and now you're in the metaverse. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, without a doubt. Let's see. So I started building businesses pretty much right out of my teens, to be honest. Always loved emerging markets, loved focusing on industries where there was a blue ocean of innovation to be had. And also where there was a small enough market that you could build that community, right? And the founders all could come together and ideate and scale. So I actually initially got started within the cannabis marketplace. Again, I was young. I was about 18 years old, doing both grow and extraction consulting. Scaled from there into more of the corporate governance, leadership roles. Built a couple of my own companies over the last decade within that space, sold a couple of them as well. Saw a lot of success, saw some failures also. This is how we learn. But realized I actually got thrown into the sort of, called, for lack of a Web3 world, through a business I'm involved in. I'm the chair of the board for Cannabis and Cannabis Museum, which is an immersive museum at Planet 13 in Vegas. And as we were starting to push that forward, this is back in 2020, all of a sudden COVID happened. And there was this uncertainty of what do we do with this brick and mortar business that we built that was all about tactile. It was all about come in and touch and feel and interact and all of a sudden it was like, well, no one's going to go to this immersive museum. And so the CEO of the fund actually that backed the museum came up with this idea that what if we could host, or what if you could experience this immersive museum from the comfort of your own home, right? Using augmented reality. And we started marching down that path. We called 100K at a little bit of a prototype, working with a guy named Gabe, who's now one of our creative directors. And he built this immersive prototype, and it was great. As soon as I got my eyes on it, I realized, I was like, whoa, this is not just for the museum. This is the future of technology. This is the future of intimate social interaction with the tools that he had started developing. And so I went back to the fund that backed the museum. I said, listen, there's an opportunity here. Let's jump on this. And we started building WeDream. And the idea was, how do you create shared spaces in augmented reality, so accessible from anywhere in the world, where people could come together and connect and create and essentially utilize that shared augmented reality space as a new environment driving intimate social interactions. And the utility for a platform like this covers business collaboration. Obviously, you experienced the NFT auction house and gallery crawl in New York, down in Soho. That was all hosted on WeDream. Social hangouts. We're also hosting Dream Festival, which will be an augmented reality event at the end of September 29th, 30th, and October 1st, where we're going to have 35 musicians and performers actually performing live sets in augmented reality, as well as a bunch of well-known NFT artists that'll be showcasing their work. We've got Gabe Weiss of the Stoics, which just dropped, Warhodl, creatress doing some 3D designs. It should be fantastic. So the idea was, again, provide infrastructure that others could build upon. But that's been my journey. I really tripped and fell into Web3. I've been involved in crypto since 2017, 2018. Let's call it. Initially, I was a little bit of a naysayer, but I still bought in. I'm happy about that. I was absolutely wrong. Yeah, so it's been a journey, but I'm happy to be here and happy to be working with the people that I am and a part of this blossoming industry.
Wow. Yeah, that's great, Peter. I couldn't agree with you more that this is going to be mass adopted and we need to be building for the betterment of the future generations, like you had said earlier. But you also mentioned something to me that was quite fascinating about your background is you've been kind of out on your own from a young age.
Yeah, so I actually, you know, I was always a little bit ahead of my times, or a little hard-headed, a little bit of both, I guess. You know, I was the kid. I think I was 14. I was dating a 16-year-old. She had her license, and so I just didn't like to follow the rules necessarily. I'd always like to stay out late. So I ended up butting heads with my parents, and I moved out into a 1998 Subaru Outback, which I tore out the back seats, and I set it up with a little bed back there, and I actually had a external battery that charged off the alternator. I could run a mini fridge on a timer and a little PlayStation as well. Actually, I think it was a GameCube, just dating the experience. And that was my vibe throughout high school. I sort of lived out of my Subaru Outback. It was the spot to hang for the after party. And it was really a blast. And I do think it gave me skill sets when it comes to building companies, because I learned quickly the importance of taking care of yourself and your community. Because again, when I was living out of my car, I was dependent on my community to really make that function, shower, eat, etc. But it was a crazy journey. And then I ended up I was born and raised in Vermont. I came out to Colorado for school at around 18 years old, and that's what threw me into the cannabis marketplace. But yeah, it's been a journey, and I think that actually pulling that back into the future of Web3 and where we're going with the metaverse. You know, for me, something that's very important, and one of the pillars at WeDream is accessibility. You know, at that age, growing up, when I was in my teens, I didn't really have access to the resources necessarily that I do today. And as we've looked at this massive evolution, again, almost I would call an industrial revolution or technology revolution in the speed of innovation and development that's happening around Web3, crypto, NFTs, and the metaverse. My goal when I talk about access being a pillar is how do we provide access to the masses, not just the upper echelon or the ones that are digging into Web3 and have massive NFT collections, but the everyday individual. And even I've traveled quite a bit. What I've noticed is I've got my Oculus headset sitting over here and my HoloLens and every possible tech toy you could imagine, and I'm all about it. But the general public, they don't have the headsets. They don't have all those tools. You know what they do have is a smartphone. And so one of the pillars and drives of what we're doing at WeDream is we're providing access to the masses to utilize augmented reality however you see fit, with only the need of a smartphone. And your smartphone actually becomes your avatar in that shared environment. So when you drop into WeDream, you select a dream you want to check out, you enter in, or you create one if you're a creator. You enter in, and your avatar is actually, again, controlled by your smartphone's movements. So if I physically jump up and down, or if I bow to you, my avatar takes all of those movements because my phone is jumping up and down or bowing. And then we match that with spatial audio. So again, you enter into this environment and you might be in there with 15 other people. And it's sort of like being in a room with 15 people, right? Or on a Zoom call with 15 people. You're on a Zoom call with 15 people. It's very hard to hear what everyone's saying. But in WeDream, because we have spatial audio, it's more akin to walking into a restaurant or a coffee shop, and there's 15 people sitting around at different tables having conversations. I can walk in, I can hear everyone. But if I sit down and engage in a conversation, I'm talking to someone, the closer that I am to them, the louder that they are. And also, if I'm looking at them, that audio is coming directly at me. In WeDream, we accomplish the same thing with spatial audio. So you might have 15 people in a room, one person might be presenting, but there's little side conversations happening all around. And because we have that spatial audio, I can hear if someone's talking to my left or to my right and how far away they are from me based on my position within that shared digital environment.
Wow, that is spectacular. I'm really glad to hear that you're working on this, and there's a huge fest coming up at the end of this month. Yeah, so the WeDreamfest, I'm actually going to be part of that. So I'm
let's go.
And speaking on a couple different panels, but yes, you have quite an impressive lineup. I'd recommend that everyone come out and check out the WeDream Festival at the end of this month. Interact with this new AR because it is the future, and Peter's figuring it out for all of us so we can access it as well. I agree with you. You know, nowadays you just need a cell phone really to do anything, even run your business. You know, they had like Kylie Jenner was the first billionaire operating her business from her mobile phone, you know, and that
Incredible.
just so yeah, it's a lot of cool innovation happening right now. Speaking of which, you had some really cool innovation at NFT NYC. How was the rest of your week there?
Oh yeah, so NFT NYC was a madhouse. It was great. I enjoyed it. Obviously, the community is you just can't beat it. I've been in everything from the natural foods industry, cannabis, medical technology, and healthcare, and obviously Web3. Man, we sure know how to throw a party. Is all I'll say. Us Web3 hooligans. So I thought NFT NYC was great. You know, I've been looking at these new conferences. What's incredible is a lot of these conferences, like I went to NFT at LA as well this year. I also went to VCon, you know, these sort of like inaugural conferences and whatnot. So what did I like, what I love, and what I dislike about NFT NYC? I liked the community. I loved the community. It's fantastic to spend time with the people and honestly the artists. You know, getting to hang out with Wes Henry and Gabe Weiss and Taylor Warhodl. You know, these guys are gem of the earth, salt of the earth. Can't beat them. So that was incredible. I also thought it was fun to see what other technologies were emerging. And there are the sort of the Me Too's of the world and whatnot, where everyone's doing something that's sort of similar. But then you find these little gems sprinkled all throughout the event, where people are looking at this a completely different way, or solving a problem that I thought I was the only one that was aware of. I didn't want to solve it. I just needed the solution, right? You know, there's a guy called Paul from Dream Collab, and I met him actually. That was at VCon, but you know, he's solving the creator problems of the metaverse, and how do you build these worlds, and how do you connect those creators that are world builders to the content creators that want to provide content or an experience within that world and environment. So I think that was absolutely fantastic. I wasn't the biggest fan, to be candid. I don't think I maybe saw 2 panels, and it bummed me out. And I think the biggest issue I saw there was how all the satellite locations, it was difficult for me to move between them. And I'm sure if I'd really put time and energy into my schedule, I could have made it around. But having it on multiple levels and in multiple locations, for me, made it harder to see the incredible pioneers that were leading some of those panels, and I was bummed to miss the amount I did, just because I was scrambling around trying to figure out where I was supposed to be. I thought that NFT LA the guys from Edge of NFT that put that on did a great job of providing me a venue and a space where I stumbled into discussions and panels without even necessarily looking at it on the schedule, but walking by a room and hearing something, and I like went back and checked out that room, and that was really cool. But all in all, I thought NFT NYC was great. I think I was the only one from my team that didn't get COVID because I had it 3 months prior, so it was definitely a big COVID party. But it was fun. And then we threw the Soho Technique NFT auction house and gallery crawl, which was, I want to say 11 different locations across 6 different venues. You'd go to these different venues. They were all catered and food and alcohol. And you'd actually you'd sink a corner within the space, and then it would generate this environment around you. And those NFTs that were up for auction were on all the walls. We were able to pull that sprint off. I think it was about 60 days from when we said, great, we'll take this on, we'll make this happen, till the actual event. My CTO wanted to wring my neck, but we did pull it off, which was great. I wish we'd been able to test it a little bit more, but honestly, for the timeline we had, I think we did well. So that was fun. So yeah, it was a great event. It was fun.
Wow, I can't believe you guys pulled that off in 60 days. It seemed very well organized. The decorations in each venue were great. The displays all worked and were unlike anything I've ever actually experienced. And I've probably been to about 80 metaverse events at this point in my life. And it was badass, man. So thank you for that experience. Keep going. I'm glad you took one for the team with your CTO. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, he loves me, all my immediate needs. And that's maybe a point to shout out. I am just lucky enough to drive the team here at WeDream, but the team itself, I mean, it's great to be a rock star. To be a rock star on a team of rock stars is incredible. So I'm just the guy that gets to brag about it. But from marketing to development to even the back end operations, we've got a team. We're actually across 5 continents, which is really fun. We spend a lot of time together in augmented reality, and it feels like we're all gathered around the water cooler and hanging out and having ideas and playing together. And I think that's the beauty of the metaverse, and specifically WeDream, is being able to drive those connections. But yeah, the team is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, five continents and growing. I think we're about to scale into our 6th continent. Antarctica will be a tough one, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. So but it's been great because we actually every Friday we make sure we spend 30 minutes to an hour, and the whole team jumps in into a dream, sort of a weekly hang dream that we have in WeDream, and we just play around and we look at new features and we talk about what's coming and what needs to come, and go from there. And it's allowed us to drive the culture and camaraderie again that you get with a physical office address with a remote team, and that's been a dream, pun intended. And actually, my CTO, Z, the wizard, he and I hadn't met. We met for the first time at NFT NYC, and we've been working together for 2 years. And I mean, I know what his favorite type of candy is. I know his schedule. I know everything about him. And a lot of it's because of all this time we spend together in AR. But then meeting him in person, it was really fun. I think again, it was a testament to the tech we've built, because it felt like it didn't feel like we were meeting for the first time. We did hug, which was cool. We can't do that in augmented reality, but you can come pretty close. So
that's amazing. Yeah. So like, I want to interact with WeDream with a team or create something. Is it open to the public? How do we get ready for the Dream Festival as well? Should we download? Yep.
Yeah, so let's see, depending on when this airs, we're right around the corner from it being live on both the Google Play Store as well as the Apple App Store. And then, yeah, it's free to download, it's free to play, free to dive in, free to create your own dream. We're actually, yeah, right at this point, we're giving it. It's we're covering all the costs internally, and we'll turn on the marketplace later on this year. But for now, yeah, it's absolutely free to get in there, download the app, iOS or Android, and join us for Dreamfest. It should be fun. And then even after Dreamfest, and leading up to it, there's a bunch of different Discord communities and NFT projects that are involved and partnered with us. So you'll be able to drop in and hang out with the Trippy Apes community, or if again, we know Keith Botha of Party Animals, they'll be in there. That'll all be happening actually for the couple weeks leading up. Probably starting next week, we'll be running AMAs with these different all these different community founders, and talking to them about their community and how WeDream is going to provide them access to really get off the keyboard and actually connect in a more tangible way with their community, which is great, providing that utility. And we're offering, again, all of that for free. So yeah, come on, check it out, download it off the App Store. More information on the website. If you want to be on the wait list so you know exactly when that hits, feel free to go to WeDream.world and sign up. You'll be on that wait list. And then we'll have it open, open to the public initially, so anyone can come in there. But then I think by the end of October, we're actually going to close it down. And the only way you'll be able to gain access is through being invited. So everyone that does drop on and that it does create an account, let's call it over the next 30 days, we'll be able to get in there and gain access and be early to the table. And then all of the growth from there will be just through user invites. So you get 5 invites, every person that comes on, and you can invite your friends to come check it out. And then as they join, they'll all get 5 invites as well. This just allows us, we've got a lot of attention. We want to make sure we're scaling those load bearing servers properly. Make sure that people have a great experience from day one. So
I think that you're giving it away for free for a short period of time. It's like you said, having accessibility for everyone is really important in this society, and balancing out what kind of benefits and things that we didn't have as kids that kids have nowadays, how advanced technology is, and how we can all collaborate for the betterment of humanity. And I appreciate
there we go.
But what do you think of the future of the metaverse? We all have a different interpretation of what is the metaverse and how is it going to affect humans down the road.
Yeah, so and I'm sure with my next few statements, there'll be people that violently agree and violently disagree with what I'm about to say. And just actually, even before I say that, as a note, it will always be free. It's not just free for a limited amount of time. The WeDream platform will always be free for the masses. So when we talk about the future of the metaverse and what's coming, I've played a lot with most of the emerging, most of the technology that's come out. I'm lucky enough, I'm sure, just like yourself, to get early eyes on that. And I really like AR versus VR, augmented reality versus virtual reality, in part because I don't want the world to turn into the Matrix. I love the world. I mean, I live at in Golden, Colorado, right at the base of the mountains, and multiple times a week I try and run up the mountain that's right next to me, because that's when I really get the creative juices flowing. That's when I feel inspired, and I do have subtle concerns, and I don't think we're there yet that I would even call them a concern, but I'm cognizant that if we all spend all of our time, we're already connected to our phones, right? We spend so much time on our phones, and I have to remember, I've got a 11-month-old little boy, and I have to remember to put my phone away and really be present. And so when I look at the future of where all this technology is going, I'm interested in augmented reality, specifically, it's actually in the name, augmented, right? We're amplifying the physical world around us and allowing digital to augment the physical, right? And versus replace. And so my hope and where I see this going is more and more technology in augmented reality, hence what we're doing in WeDream and the infrastructure we've developed, that's focused on when you go on a hike and you're like, what type of tree is that? That you pull out your phone and your phone recognizes and tells you what type of tree it is and how old it is and all of this information, right? And maybe, you know, we've got a big beetle kill problem out here. And so maybe there's educational elements and aspects about what we can do to help that spread and why that's happening, et cetera. I look at it when I go to the grocery store. I'm the guy that walks in the grocery store and I'm like, oh God, where do I even start? And it would be great if I could plug in a grocery list and it would identify and direct me. I pull up my phone and it's like I'm driving on the highway. It's like, this is where it is. You know, paint me a line that shows me exactly where I go to get my carton of eggs, or my, you know, my partner's vegan, so get her vegan, you know, cream cheese or whatever it is that I'm looking for, right? You know, I see augmented reality helping us preserve natural elements of the world around us, but still allow for that marketing and advertising that we get with billboards. But I grew up in Vermont. Billboards are illegal in Vermont. There are no billboards in Vermont.
Wow.
Surprise, surprise. And you can tell if you grow up in Vermont, you go anywhere else, you're like, whoa, they're marketing to me everywhere I'm going, right? I think augmented reality can provide, again, access for corporations to market to us in a way that's not destructive to the landscape. I also see that the world is getting smaller and smaller. Again, I can connect with our team, call it 25 people around the world, and when they come into WeDream, they show up in my office. They're sitting on the couch next to me, and there's this whole level of intimate social interaction. You'll hear me say that word intimate multiple times. I think this is important. I think that this is the allows us to scale as human beings in our society. I'm a strange character. I actually don't have any social media. I have LinkedIn, and that's about it. And I mean, I had a MySpace. I think I was 14 years old. But I've never really been big on social media, and I didn't really know why. Until recently, I've started sort of realizing, or maybe it was just a fluke thing, but one way or another, today, I think part of the issue, we're seeing so many issues with anxiety and depression, right? That comes out of, and less my generation, but especially a little bit younger, it comes out of the amount of time we spend in social media, with social media. And you know, I've been trying to unpack this. I had a conversation with Ben Yersasin of Next Voyagers, also just sold out last week.
Yeah, Ben.
Great project to follow if you're not already. But I had a conversation with him talking about social media and the future of social media, which I think the metaverse, and I want to rename social media as social interaction, digital social interaction, right? We're on Twitter, we're on Snapchat, we're on Instagram, we're interacting, right? And really, though, what we're doing is we're sort of in these protected shells, and it's my profile, right? And I can troll on someone, and I can comment, and I can shoot them down, or I can build them up. It really, it's very easy to do, right? And actually, if I were to pull an analog to that, it's almost like we're driving down the road, and I'm in my car with my windows blacked out, my music bumping, and someone cuts me off, right? I can honk my horn, maybe flick them off, right? And that's it. There's no connection. I have no connection to who's driving. I'm like, oh, that red Passat cutting me off. How dare they, right? And there's this disconnect. And I feel like that's what's going on in our social media today. Is it's not encouraging intimate social interaction. It's encouraging social interaction to create response, which is not actually my end goal. I totally get it from a marketing standpoint and how the algorithms work. But for me, I'm trying to amplify value. Sort of my life mission is amplify value. And the best way to amplify value is find people that are strong in areas where I'm weak and build relationships and connect. And so my hope for what the metaverse will do is take people off their keyboards a little bit and allow them to get out of their blacked out car as if we're all walking down the road together. And if Joey, you cut me off, you bump into me, you're going to probably say, "Oh, sorry. Hi, my name's Joey." And we're going to start talking, right? And those interactions might still happen where we cut each other off or interrupt each other or whatever the situation is. But because we're now face to face, or at least avatar to avatar, it's driving that intimacy one level deeper, therefore removing the negative energy or considerably diminishing that negative energy and scaling up and pushing forward that positive reinforcement, that positive interaction, that positive amplification, where we can come together to help each other build our dreams together. Hence, we dream.
Yes, I mean, right there, Peter. I appreciate it. You know, I've already learned a lot on this one call. I've learned that there's no billboards in Vermont. I learned, you know, the big difference conceptually. I always thought of it somewhat different, but you're 100% right. AR, we're amplifying the real world that we have, you know, and VR is an escape, it's a substitute. So that's a good way for all of the viewers out there to kind of understand that we're augmenting reality. And Peter's very passionate about creating those intimate social interactions. So download WeDream, show up to the WeDream Festival. Peter, it's been so great having you on the show. Thank you so much for your time. We got to get everyone to the WeDream Festival, September 29th, 30th, and October 1st. Go to WeDream.world to learn more. And yeah, thank you so much, Peter. It's really been, I love doing these things because I learn a lot from people that are a lot smarter than me, who are visionaries. And now I can kind of more so comprehend the way things are going. So thank you very much, Peter.
Well, the honor is mine. I'm grateful. Thank you for having me. And we'll see you at Dreamfest.